Commission and the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development do provide for an independent administrative and operational framework for junior secondary schools to enhance governance and streamlining management, as well as creation of a more focused learning environment for learners. He also wants the Senate to resolve that the Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the Teacher Service Commission, allocate adequate funds for the construction and equipping of learners in junior secondary schools with essential facilities such as science labs, libraries, ICT rooms, and provide adequate learning materials relevant with the curriculum, as well as the workforce to teach the learners. The speaker is in the house this afternoon. Allow me to hand over for this live broadcast. Gladys Mungai is my name.
Na tuombe. Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Twakuomba utuwajalie tuyatende na kufikia mambo yote atakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Clerk, do we have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes. The Honorable Senator Veronica Maina. That business is deferred. The Honorable Senator Karungo Thangu. The business is deferred. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statement pursuant to Standing Order 53-1, Senator for Bungoma County, the Honorable David Wakoli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Request for a statement on the status of pending bills for the County Government of Bungoma. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on a matter of county-wide concern regarding the status of pending bills for the County Government of Bungoma. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1. The total amount of pending bills for the County Government of Bungoma as of 30th June 2025, including details in the respective amounts owed to each affected contractor, as well as 1, the financial year in which the amounts became due, and 2, the projects undertaken, goods supplied, or services rendered by each of the contractors. 2, whether there has been a verification and audit exercise for the pending bills, and if so, disclose the findings. 3, the plan and associated timelines for settling all the pending bills. 4, the reasons for the accumulation of the pending bills, including whether investigations have been initiated to establish individual capability of county government officials, and if so, obtain information on the actions taken to hold the officials accountable. 5, the measures in place as well as the procurement planning or financial management reforms being considered to prevent further accumulation of pending bills by the county government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Senator Wafula Okoli, CBS MP. Thank you.
Senator for Vihiga County, the Honorable Osotsi. Honorable Catherine Muma, MP. Yes, Senator for Nairobi City County.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm that I have authorization in writing from Senator Catherine Muma to take her statement.
I'm in receipt of that authorization.
Thank you, Speaker. But just as a leader in the House, Speaker, maybe the SBC needed to take note of the reasons for the absence of Senator Thangwa in the current week, because we are aware that he lost his mother, and maybe preserve the business that is originating from his office until that matter is done. And I just want to take this opportunity to send my condolences to him. So this is the request for statement by the Honorable Senator Catherine Muma. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on a matter of inter-county concern regarding the measures being undertaken by the host county governments of Kenya's 5 chartered cities, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, and Eldoret, to facilitate access to basic services for the urban poor, particularly those living in informal settlements. Mr. Speaker, the urban poor are equal citizens under the 2010 Constitution. However, many residents of informal settlements remain inadequately served due to persistent planning, infrastructure, and service delivery gaps. Further, Article 27 obligates the state to ensure access to services without discrimination. In the statement, the committee should address the following. Number 1, the county plans to facilitate access to basic services for the urban poor, especially in informal settlements, including access to clean water and sanitation, healthcare, and education and skills training facilities, namely in early childhood development and education centers and technical and vocational colleges. Secondly, the plans for upgrading informal settlements to support dignified livelihoods, including housing improvements and provision of essential amenities such as electricity and street lighting. Thirdly, the status of intergovernmental consultations and cooperation with the national government, including any engagements held or agreements signed to support infrastructure development that ensures equitable access to primary and tertiary education services and security services for the urban poor. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, the protective measures to safeguard residents of informal settlements, especially children, adolescents, and youth, from the thriving illicit trade in drugs and firearms and the attendant violence, including measures to prevent and respond to gender-based violence and the unchecked defilement of children and adolescents. This is taken on behalf of Senator Catherine Muma, MP, nominated Senator. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Sotsi, you may now proceed to make your request.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I will request for a statement on the deteriorating infrastructure at the Wilson Airport in Nairobi City County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing on a matter of national concern regarding the deteriorating infrastructure at the Wilson Airport in Nairobi City County. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, the current state of the infrastructure and safety systems at Wilson Airport in Nairobi City County, including the runway, drainage, rescue, and firefighting facilities, air control systems, and power backup installation. 2, steps being taken by the Ministry of Road Transport Roads and Transport, the Kenya Airport Authority, and the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority to address deterioration of the infrastructure at the airport and ensure continued compliance with international safety standards. 3, the findings of investigation into recent incidences of aviation accidents around Wilson Airport and the measures being taken to ensure that such incidents do not recur. 4, the timelines for demolishing buildings and other development rising above the prescribed height restriction along the flight path around Wilson Airport. And 5, the plans by the government to upgrade, expand, or modernize Wilson Airport to enhance its operational capacity and safety. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator from Busia County, the Honorable Andrew Omtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to request for a statement on the alarming increase in deforestation linked to the growing use of firewood and wood-based biomass by large manufacturing companies. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53, Clause 1, to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources on a matter of countrywide concern regarding the alarming increase in deforestation linked to the growing use of firewood and wood-based biomass fuel by large manufacturing companies across the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, several major industries, particularly within Thika, Limuru, Nakuru, Mukurweini, and other industrial zones, have transitioned from furnace oil, industrial diesel oil, and gas to firewood and wood briquettes due to rising energy costs. While energy transition is commendable, the current shift appears to be occurring without adequate safeguards to ensure sustainable sourcing of biomass fuel. The volume of wood required to sustain large-scale industrial boilers is substantial and may be contributing to accelerated deforestation in natural forests and community lands. This trend, if not urgently addressed, may reverse the gains Kenya has made in forest conservation, undermine water towers, reduce agricultural productivity, and expose the country to severe climate shocks in the near future. In the statement, the committee should address the following: the current extent of industrial biomass fuel usage in Kenya, including the companies that have officially converted to firewood or wood-based fuel for industrial operations. 2, whether the National Environment and Management Authority has conducted environmental impact assessments and formally approved the use of biomass fuel at industrial scale. 3, whether the Kenya Forest Service has issued harvesting permits corresponding to the quantities of wood currently consumed by industries and the basis for such approvals. 4, the mechanisms in place to verify that biomass fuel used by industries is sourced from sustainable plantations rather than from gazetted or protected forests. 5, whether the regulatory framework under the Forest Conservation and Management Act and the Environmental Management and Coordination Act is adequate to regulate industrial biomass fuel consumption and the urgent measures the government is taking to prevent a looming environmental crisis arising from industrial scale deforestation. Signed, Senator Andrew Omtata, MP, Senator from Busia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator for Kirinyaga County, the Honorable James Mrango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Study Committee on Agricultural Livestock and Fisheries on a matter of national concern regarding the performance of the Kenya Agricultural Livestock Research Organization, KARO, in soil testing and analysis. Mr. Speaker, despite the importance of soil testing and analysis in modern agriculture, farmers across the country face delays in receiving soil test and analysis resulting from KARO. They have also expressed concern that once issued, the results are often highly technical and difficult to translate into practical farm action. This has left most farmers at risk of investing in costly farm inputs without commensurate yields. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, the current capacity of the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, KARO, to undertake soil testing and analysis and obtain information on the number of distribution of operational soil testing laboratories across the country, as well as the average number of soil samples processed in the laboratory annually. 2, the short and long-term interventions being implemented to address the delay in the release of soil results to farmers to ensure that once released, the results are simplified and accompanied by practical, farmer-friendly recommendations. 3, the existing coordination mechanism between KARO, county governments, and agricultural extension officers to ensure that farmers receive appropriate follow-up and advisory services after soil analysis. And last, the steps taken by the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development to expand access to soil testing services and promote their uptake, particularly among smallholder farmers. Speaker, my second statement is on the request for a statement on land adjudication, ownership and settlement challenges in Mwea settlement scheme. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Study Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources on a matter of county-wide concern regarding the long-standing land ownership, adjudication and settlement challenges affecting residents of Mwea settlement scheme in Kirinyaga County. Mr. Speaker, sir, the scheme is one of the country's key major agricultural zones and has supported livelihoods and national food production for decades. However, many families living in settlement villages within the scheme, some of whom have occupied the land since the 1950s, continue to live without the deeds, the title deeds or formal land ownership documents. This has perpetuated insecurity of tenure, hindered planning and development. This has limited access to public services and investment, and has raised concern over the continued absence of a clear and comprehensive framework for regularizing settlement areas within the scheme. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, the status of land ownership, tenure and settlement rights in the villages located within Mwea irrigation scheme, particularly in Gathigiriri, Viva, Tebere, and Uamomoans, including the status of the settlement areas said to comprise approximately 8,050 acres that have not undergone formal land adjudication registration. 2, the reasons why residents who have occupied settlement areas within the Mwea settlement scheme for several decades have not been issued with title deeds or other form of ownership documents, including obstacles that have delayed regularization of their tenure. 3, the measures in place to undertake comprehensive mapping of all villages within Mwea settlement scheme, prepare an official cadastral map for the settlement areas, and initiate land adjudication and registration processes to enable current occupants to obtain title deeds. 4, targeted policy or legislative measures to facilitate the processing and issuance of title deeds to residents living in settlement villages within irrigation schemes. And lastly, the measures in place to undertake fact-finding visits, stakeholder consultation and community engagements in the affected villages, and the timelines which the government intends to resolve the land tenure and ownership challenges affecting residents of Mwea irrigation scheme, signed by Senator James Kamau Morango Kirinyaga. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator, for the statement by the Senator for Nakuru County, Senator Tabitha Keroche, is deferred. We'll now move to statement pursuant to Standing Order 57-1, the Senate Majority Leader.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1 to hereby present to the Senate the business for the week that will commence on Tuesday, the 17th of March 2026. Mr. Speaker, sir, the legislative business for the Senate is as follows. We have 60 bills that are pending conclusion, of which 42 are at the second reading stage, 16 are at the committee of the whole, 2 are awaiting first reading. We have 10 motions that are pending conclusion. 18 petitions are pending conclusion by the respective standing committees. 464 statements pursuant to Standing Order number 53-1 are under consideration by the respective committees. At the next sitting of the Senate, Tuesday the 17th of 2026, the tentative business for the day will include business not concluded from today's order paper, as well as indicated in the notice paper. The tentative business for Wednesday, 18th March 2026, will include questions to the Cabinet Secretaries as approved by the SBC, as well as motions. The Cabinet Secretary is slotted to appear before us next week. Mr. Speaker, the CS for Transport, CS for Trade, and the CS for Cooperatives, responding to various questions asked by various members, including Senator Tom Ojenda, as well as others who have questions before those particular ministries and state departments. For Thursday afternoon, or for Thursday and Wednesday afternoon, Mr. Speaker, it will include any of the business that will not have concluded on Tuesday or Wednesday morning. Just a brief highlight of the bills that are on the second reading stage, Mr. Speaker. They include the County Government State Officers Removal from Office Procedures Bill. I said this is a bill which those members that are keen on running to be county governors need to be keen on, but they don't appear to be listening to me, Mr. Speaker, so I'll carry on. The County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 39 of 2024. The street naming and Property Addressing System Bill, the County Government Laws Amendment Bill, and the Energy Amendment Bill. We have 16 bills, Mr. Speaker, that are the committee of the whole, and we will be calling upon members that we do what we did, I think, 2 weeks ago, which is to dedicate perhaps Wednesday afternoon next week, Mr. Speaker, to conclude on those bills. Actually, all these bills, Mr. Speaker, we have already, as well as indicated in the notice paper. The tentative business for Wednesday, 18th March 2026, will include questions to the Cabinet Secretaries as approved by the SBC, as well as motions. The Cabinet Secretary is slotted to appear before us next week, Mr. Speaker. The CS for Transport, CS for Trade, and the CS for Cooperatives, responding to various questions asked by various members, including Senator Tom Ojenda, as well as others who have questions before those particular ministries and state departments. For Thursday afternoon, or for Thursday and Wednesday afternoon, Mr. Speaker, it will include any of the business that will not have concluded on Tuesday or Wednesday morning. Just a brief highlight of the bills that are on the second reading stage, Mr. Speaker. They include the County Government State Officers Removal from Office Procedures Bill. I said this is a bill which those members that are keen on running to be county governors need to be keen on, but they don't appear to be listening to me, Mr. Speaker, so I'll carry on. The County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 39 of 2024. The Street Naming and Property Addressing System Bill, the County Government Laws Amendment Bill, and the Energy Amendment Bill. We have 16 bills, Mr. Speaker, that are the committee of the whole, and we will be calling upon members that we do what we did, I think, 2 weeks ago, which is to dedicate perhaps Wednesday afternoon next week, Mr. Speaker, to conclude on those bills. Actually, all these bills, Mr. Speaker, we have already done the necessary amendments. What is remaining is the division, and it's an exercise which we can quickly conclude if members can avail themselves in the House on Wednesday afternoon, so that we proceed the way we proceeded last week, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is important also that I mention that we are nearing the 31st of March, which is a deadline for consideration by CPI committee of the various what are they called, audit reports by the county governments. You remember last year we had to work till very late in the night, and the reports were quite voluminous, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, through you, I don't see the chairperson of CPIC, but I see the members like Sifuna and Maruma, and I think Umtata who are here as well. They can save the House if they can bring those reports, the ones at least that they have concluded on early in advance, especially bearing in mind, Mr. Speaker, that we are proceeding on recess, I think, the week of 2nd, so that we avoid the scenario of what happened last year. And I hope they can communicate to their committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that is it for the business that is before us in the week. I hope members will be available so that we conclude on those business. I thank you and do hereby lay this statement on the table of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, I will allow comments for not more than 15 minutes on the statements that have been sought.
31st of March, which is a deadline for consideration by CPI committee of the various, what are they called, audit reports by the county governments. You remember last year, we had to work till very late in the night, and the reports were quite voluminous, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, through you, I don't see the chairperson of CPIC, but I see the members like Sifuna and Maruma, and I think Umtata who are here as well. They can save the house if they can bring those reports, the ones at least that they have concluded on early in advance, especially bearing in mind, Mr. Speaker, that we are proceeding on recess, I think, the week of 2nd, so that we avoid the scenario of what happened last year. And I hope they can communicate to their committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that is it for the business that is before us in the week. I hope members will be available so that we conclude on those business. I thank you and do hereby lay this statement on the table of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, I will allow comments for not more than 15 minutes on the statements that have been sought. If you get an opportunity to speak, please do so for not more than 3 minutes. Senator Richard Onyonka.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say that I take this opportunity to thank my colleague on the issue that he has raised about the challenges you have in Mwea. Mr. Speaker, some of these land issues, historically, where you find individuals have been settled, some have lived in areas for periods not less than 30 years, 50 years, even beyond the normal statute of limitation periods. I think the Committee on Lands needs to take these matters very seriously. I'm very, very happy because in Kisii County we had a matter of historical injustice where a community actually gave land in 1947. And when we sat with the Committee of Lands, we went through the normal ups and downs, and finally I actually was very, very happy that the chairman, Honorable Faki, managed, imagine, Mr. Speaker, to have these people receive government compensation after about 49 years. That is what our responsibility is, and that's what this House should do. So just the way the committee handled the matter of Kisii, I would pray that all the other outstanding land issues in Kenya, the Committee of Lands should engage itself and move expeditiously so that some of these friction-causing matters that exist in our neighborhoods can be reduced. And I believe that is the direction that Kenyans want our country to go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mohammed Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to support the statement by Senator Sochi. Honorable Speaker, 3 weeks ago, no, I think about a month ago, I brought a statement here on Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and the way it was. And that statement is before the committee chaired by our able Senator, Eddie Okechi. And to date, nothing has been done. And you've heard today issues raised by, again, Senator Asotsi. Honorable Speaker, I have 4 things to say about Wilson Airport. I landed in Wilson Airport about, I think, 2 weeks ago, and runway 07 was being repaired. And that repair has caused a lot of problems. And it is time. I think as a committee, what we need to do is ask the management of that particular institution to come before the committee and explain to this country what is happening. Honorable Speaker, second issue is the committee should make a point to visit those institutions to see for themselves what is happening, what is going on there. What Senator Osotsi is talking about is something very, very serious. Number 3, Honorable Speaker, I think it is time the government should make a decision to relocate Wilson Airport from where it is now to a bit further so that we can have affordable housing. That, I think that land is about 80 to 100 acres. So if we can do, because Senator Sotis bring an issue talking about landing and taking off. There are buildings that has come up there. And you cannot stop development. We will develop. When we start doing issues of housing, which is now affordable housing, we needed land. And the land we need to construct on is land that we have, which is Wilson Airport. So finally, Honorable Speaker, I want to ask and emphasize again and again and again to ask the committee, which I also belong to visit Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and Wilson Airport in the next 2 weeks so that we have a report on what is going on. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Sots.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me comment on the statement of pending bills by Senator Wakoli Obungoma. Mr. Speaker, this is a chronic problem in all the counties. And we have had many of us here who have brought statements on the same topic about pending bills in their counties, including myself. Brought a statement here which went to the Committee of Finance, and nothing seems to be moving on the matter of pending bills. In fact, the situation of pending bills in our county is a moving target. When they say they want to clear, the next minute you hear that the number has gone up. It's not even clear in some counties how much is the pending bills. The figures they bring before our various committees keep on oscillating. And Mr. Speaker, this House has made a resolution. There was a motion by Senator Olekina that was passed by this House on how we intended to deal with this issue of pending bills. But looks like nothing is being done again by the Controller of Budget to help us realize the resolutions that we made in that motion. Mr. Speaker, I think the Finance Committee can do better than what they are doing to help us address the matter of pending bills, because people have lost their businesses, people have lost their properties, and people have died. I know in my county, the contractors or the suppliers who have died because of the stress emanating from not being paid, and yet they have taken loans. So this is a serious matter, and I hope the Committee for Finance, which is chaired by Senator Roba, who is a former governor, who understands what pending bills are, can help this House to get a solution to this matter. We cannot be helpless on this matter. When we go to our various counties, we are confronted by people asking what this House is doing to address the issue of pending bills. So I want to call upon the Committee for Finance to help us unravel this problem, which is affecting all our 47 counties. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to contribute to the statement by Honorable Okoli on the pending bills. As the chair of devolution, it's actually so hurting and very, very unfortunate situation that the bills are accumulating in most of all the counties across the board. And it goes way back to 2013, and it's keeping on increasing, Honorable Speaker. There is no reason for the counties to be having huge bills. That this House supports the counties to appropriate their bills, to get their equitable shares and additional bills, additional money. But unfortunately, the bill is increasing, Like my county, Honorable Speaker, from 2018, it was to 5.5 billion. Today it stands the same and it's increasing. I don't know why this money is not being paid. Honorable Speaker, this House must help the situation. Many of the people who made investment in the counties, the contractors, are actually are suffering. The farmers are suffering. They are out of business. And there's no cause why counties should be keeping the people's money. Pensioners are not able to get their money. They contribute the money. The money is not remitted to the statutory institutions. There are huge bills and then this same money that has not been submitted is accruing interest. Last time I was seeing a report that the statutory deductions actually, a balloon now, only interest alone, is 155 billion. Honorable Speaker, I think this House can do better. As senators of this nation, the county, that the people who oversight the counties, we need to have at least, as rightly said by Honorable Ososi, our finance committee must work up and tell us how best we can be able to help these counties, the people who invest in this pool. The other one, Honorable Speaker, is the disaster in the statement by Honorable Ososi. Honorable Speaker, Wilson Airport is actually a very strategic airport and one of the oldest airports that's for at least the local travelers. But however, it has been encouraged from all sides that actually it's a disaster in waiting unless something is done. The runways are getting old. I think they need to be repaired, as rightly said. But the only thing that I'm worried about is actually the number of buildings that are encroaching the Wilson Airport. I think this must be controlled, and actually we need to at least that should be audited seriously to avoid.
Senator Faki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to comment on the statement made by Senator Ososi on the deteriorating situation at Wilson Airport. Mr. Speaker, sir, even the Moi International Airport in Mombasa is experiencing similar challenges. And in fact, in Terminal 2 of the said airport, the baggage belt has not been working for the last 3 years. We have made complaints to the management, but no action has been taken up to now. So travelers who travel by Jambo or Skyward or the other local airlines have to struggle to get their luggage once the flight has arrived in Mombasa. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is not a unique situation. We have seen it before, and we think that KAA is sleeping on the job. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we visited Phenom Estate pursuant to our statement which was requested for by Senator Hamida. And one of the challenges that the residents said was that there was some encroachment by the developer who was doing some playing field at near the estate, and he had also encroached on the perimeter fence of Wilson Airport, and such that in the event of an emergency, evacuating people and maybe other evacuating passengers and other people will be a problem, because that road, which was supposed to be used as an exit from the airport, has also been closed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The Senate Majority Leader.
This issue of Wilson Airport, like other Kenyans, I use this airport quite frequently, and any user of that airport needs to be concerned for their safety, and we cannot continue the way things are. As mentioned by Senator Chute, like just the current situation, I think runway 07 is under repair, and if you see the pace which that contractor, I don't know who they are, and it's a good thing because the minister is here next week responding to statements. That contractor is working, I think, at the pace of 1 centimeter per day. If you, at that rate, Mr. Speaker, we may get to, I don't know which year, before they conclude runway 07. And you know the challenges of planes landing on runway 025, Mr. Speaker, or runway 14, because they have to overfly directly above Langata Road, which is sometimes a hazard, including to young children and even the kids that are studying at Langata Primary, Mr. Speaker, because the whole afternoon they have to bear with planes overflying their school playing compound before landing. Therefore, the complications at Wilson Airport, Mr. Speaker, needs special attention. And I hope the minister in charge, even the security situation is not something to write home about. How many times do you find this Senator Osotsi? He just drives in his car, drives out with a bag, and heads direct into a plane. The security checks are so lackluster, Mr. Speaker. It's a security risk even to you as a honorable member. You may think that they are being unfair by insisting that they check your bags, but it's for your own good. And therefore, there are so many things that are wrong with that Wilson Airport, Mr. Speaker, that I hope that our Committee on Transport, when looking into this statement, will first provide a roadmap, but more importantly, because the minister will be here, God willing, next week on Wednesday, Mr. Speaker, we must take him to task on the operations at Wilson Airport and what exact plans they have. Remember, Mr. Speaker, that we had a statement here the other day, or was it a newspaper headlines, on high-rise buildings that are coming up from South Sea and all these areas just next to the airport with reckless abandon. And remember, Wilson is not just an airport, it's also a training school. There are many trainee pilots that learn their trade from that airport, Mr. Speaker. And you're putting high-rise buildings just in front of the students. That is disaster in waiting, Mr. Speaker. And I hope that next week the minister will provide, I know it's not specifically what he's coming to answer, but a good and a diligent public servant should always be prepared to respond to matters that are under their jurisdiction. I hope we can give an update on what is the exact plan of what to do with Wilson Airport, because the way things are, that is exactly how not to run an airport. That is disaster in waiting, and we need not to go there. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Mwaruma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to comment on a statement by Senator Wakoli, Senator for Bungoma, about pending bills. This is a very serious issue, Mr. Speaker, which as a Senate, sometimes we are blamed. In my village, somebody was asking, Senator, why can't you help the governor to pay the pending bills? And I was wondering, how can I even do it? But everybody knows, and the record is there, that as Senate, we have tried even to pass a motion that disallows Treasury to release money to the counties because of pending bills. Mr. Speaker, the culprits in the growing pending bills are mainly two. Number one, over projection of on-source revenue. And there are reasons why counties would want to over-project on-source revenue. It's because the vote heads are given in terms of percentages. So if in Kara we pass maybe 13% to go to the assemblies, if the assemblies over-project by, say, 500 million, then they'll get more money other than just getting maybe the amount that is exactly expected to be collected. So they over-project because the votes are in terms of percentages. The other one, Mr. Speaker, the other reason for growing pending bills is voiding of payments. After the payments are voided, we have tried as a committee for public accounts to try and see why are counties voiding payments, and even getting the culprits who are paying money that is supposed to be for other contractors or other people who have done business with the county is very difficult to know. Mr. Speaker, when you ask the auditor, why can't we tell us the voided payments and why they were voided, and if actually that money was paid later on, they say we cannot even know where that money went to without an analysis by an expert. So we would wonder who will help us, Mr. Speaker, to reduce the pending bills that come as a result of voiding of payments, Mr. Speaker. We have tried, and the Control of Budget has given, has told counties, please give us a repayment schedule or a payment plan for the pending bills. But when the Control of Budget has that repayment plan, without us as a committee or Committee for Finance in the Senate having a copy, how would we make sure that the repayment schedule is followed? I think when a county makes a repayment plan or scheduled to the control of budget, a copy should be given to the Committee of Finance of this Senate, Mr. Speaker, so that they can follow through and ensure that that repayment plan is followed. Otherwise, they would continue.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to comment on the statement by the Honorable Senator Murango. Mr. Speaker, the problems that are experiencing in Mwea Tabere scheme are no different from the problems we are experiencing at the Bura irrigation scheme in Tana North. Mr. Speaker, the men and women who came and settled there and were given portions of land have now gotten their own children, Mr. Speaker. And these children do not have their own allocation of lands. And this has created very difficult situations for the parents of these children who are now adults and who have wives and they have their own families. Mr. Speaker, the question of allocation of land, proper allocation of land to growing families in Bura irrigation scheme must also be looked at when the agriculture committee sits, so that as you solve the problems in Mwea Tabere scheme, they can also expand their scope and include a way to investigate and resolve the problems faced by the farmers, very hard-working farmers of Bura irrigation scheme. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kenywa.
Asante Bwana Speaker. Nataka kuchangia taarifa iliyoletwa na Murango kuhusu shirika la utafiti. Bwana Speaker, shirika hili la utafiti ni tegemeo kuu kwa mambo ya mchanga, kwa sababu mchanga ndio wakulima wanapaswa wajue ni mchanga upi, ndio wajue wataweka mbolea gani, watatumia mimea ipi ama mimea ipi watapanda. Lakini ikiwa Bwana Speaker, hili shirika linazembea katika kazi yake, inakuwa ni jambo la kuvunja moyo sana Bwana Speaker. Lakini yote 9-10, Bwana Speaker, jumba hili limekuwa kama jumba la manunguniko ama la masikitiko, kwa sababu ndio taarifa iliyoletwa na Chute kuhusu uwanja wa ndege wa kimataifa wa Jomo Kenyatta, hakuna taarifa yoyote imeletwa katika nyumba hii. Leo Sosi ameleta taarifa kuhusu uga ama uwanja wa ndege wa Wilson. Bwana Speaker, sijui ni nini kitatendeka, ama itabaki tu kuwa sisi tumekuja katika jumba hili kuleta taarifa ambazo hazishughulikiwi. Hiyo haitoshi Bwana Speaker, sio taarifa hizo mbili. Taarifa iliyoletwa kuhusu madeni ambayo yanaendelea kukumba wa Kenya ambao wanashughulikia mambo katika Jamhuri ya Kenya. Bwana Speaker, nakumbuka sasa hivi leo Wakoli ameleta taarifa ya madeni. Osothi alikuwa ameleta taarifa kama hiyo. Kuna mswada ulioletwa na Senator Olekina kuhusu mambo hayo Bwana Speaker. Itakuwaje Bwana Speaker? Kazi yetu ni kuongea na kuongea na kuongea. Hakuna mambo yoyote yanaonekana yakitendwa. Ningependa Bwana Speaker kumuuliza kiongozi wa walio wengi, pengine tutengeneze kamati ya kufuatilia ya kwamba mapendekezo ambayo tunapendekeza katika Senate hii yanafuatiliwa Bwana Speaker. Isikuwe kazi yetu ni kuongea tu, baada ya kuongea tunaenda nyumbani Bwana Speaker. Wakenya hawaoni matokeo yote kwa taarifa hizi zinazoletwa hapa. Leo taarifa imeletwa kuhusu uga uwanja wa ndege wa Wilson. Basi nikasikia hata kiongozi wa wengi anasema wale wakandarasi waliopewa kazi pale wanafanya kazi pole mwendo wa kinyonga Bwana Speaker. Lakini itakuwa ni hayo tunaongea. Kwa hivyo ningemrai kiongozi walio wengi, ikiwa tunaweza kuanzisha kamati ya kufuatilia mambo ambayo tumependekeza hapa yafuatiliwe Bwana Speaker. Nashukuru.
Senator Wakili Sigei.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support and contribute to the statement by Senator Wakoli on the pending bills in our counties. And Mr. Speaker, it is not confined to the county that Senator Wakoli represents in terms of the outstanding pending bills. This House has previously dealt with a motion that was brought in by the Minority Whip, Senator Olekina, on the way in treatment of the outstanding pending bills in almost all the counties, 47 of them in this country. I dare say I doubt whether there is a county that do not have pending bills. And Mr. Speaker, from the information that we do have, we collect almost every day, the quickest way to die in this country as a contractor or as a businessman is to trade with our county governments. You will invest your money, you will never get paid. And that statement, therefore, Mr. Speaker, is coming in addition to the various statements that have been put before this House by various members. I recall, Mr. Speaker, that I as well have brought in a statement to deal with the issue of over 1.5 billion outstanding pending bills in the county government of Bomet that I represent. And therefore, if there is anything that this House has done as a matter of at least attention, is it has passed a resolution to deal with this very serious issue on pending bills. Senator Maruma has made reference to what is called voiding. Voiding, Mr. Speaker, is an act that our irresponsible county governments do in order to make sure that they don't pay validated and bills which are due and are actually supposed to be paid. What they do, they void them so that they pay those who are compliant. Compliant in the sense that they're able to pay back a certain percentage of what is due from the county government to them. We should therefore do expect the committee that this particular statement will be commissioned to deal with, ensure that besides just the specific county government of Bungoma, deal with the substantive aspect on this issue on pending bills. It has been there, it will continue to be there, because even the resources that we allow and send out to the county governments, I do expect that, for instance, as long as we speak about it, they will know that they are being watched, and they will therefore undertake a responsible act of at least making it a first charge on the funds that are paid to them.
Senator Chemite Cheberet.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to address the House. Mr. Speaker, it is my first time to have this opportunity. It is my first time, Mr. Speaker, to be given time to say something, and you have gotten me off guard, Mr. Speaker, because I didn't expect you to ask me to say something. Mr. Speaker, I'm still learning, you know. In life we learn slowly, and it's a process. So within no time I'll be able to catch up, and I'll be a good debater in the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very well, Senator Chemite. If you don't want to speak, don't log in, because I'll have your name here, and I'll certainly ask you to speak. Now, honorable senators, we have done more than 15 minutes, and therefore we will move to the next order. Next order, clerk.
Order number 8, the Agriculture Produce Minimum Guaranteed Returns Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2025. Second reading, mover to reply.
That order will be deferred because the mover is not present. Next order. We are also going to defer order number 9 because it's due for division. Yes, Senator Maruma.
Mr. Speaker, now that some of us are not there to contribute to agricultural produce minimum guaranteed returns bill, is it possible, because the mover is not here to reply, Mr. Speaker, that you give us opportunity to speak to it?
Yes, you're saying what? I'm not getting you. Sorry. I was a senator from Mombasa who's called Salty.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was seeking your indulgence. Some of us have not contributed to the agricultural produce minimum guaranteed returns, and now that the mover is not here to reply, we would like to seek your indulgence, maybe if I can contribute to it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That hurdle has long been crossed, and therefore this particular order is up to date for a response from the mover, not to open debate. If you're not present when it was open for debate, then I'm afraid may not be in a position to reopen debate at this particular juncture. We are going to defer order number 9 and move to order number 10. You may proceed to call that order, Clerk.
Order number 10, the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills. The Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 4 of 2024. Second reading, resumption of debate.
Now, on debate was interrupted on Wednesday, 11th March 2026. Senator Alan Chesang had the floor, and he had 12 minutes, had a balance of 12 minutes to go. I am not seeing the Honorable Senator in the chamber, and therefore we will proceed with debate. Senator for Nairobi City County, the Honorable Edwin Sifuna.
Speaker, thank you for giving me opportunity to contribute to this bill. As you know, Speaker, I'm a member of the Public Accounts Committee, and I was listening to the Majority Leader advising us on the timelines when we need to submit some of the reports. I want to confirm to you, Majority Leader, that there was a retreat, a report writing retreat this weekend, and there are some of those reports that are ready. The challenge we've had in the committee is a challenge that you are aware of as part of the leadership of this House, that some of the entities, the governors especially, some of them, not all of them, some of them have refused to appear before the Public Accounts Committee and the Public Investments Committee. We are happy, Honourable Speaker, that not all governors have fallen into that bad habit. In fact, today the Governor for Siaya, the Honourable James Orengo, appeared before the County Public Investments Committee, and we processed 2 county assemblies, Honourable Speaker. The County Assembly of Kakamega, which is one of the few assemblies we noted as a committee that have also already considered the Auditor General's report and have tabled a report in the House that has been adopted. And we also had the County Assembly of Muranga appearing before us this morning. So we are doing our best. And Marsabit, yes, and Marsabit, I'm being reminded by the Vice Chair. We are doing our best to be able to beat those deadlines, and the House will be more than happy with the reports that we will present. Honourable Speaker, there are governors who think that by refusing to show up that the work of this House will stop. We will continue with our work, we will make recommendations, we will come to this House to defend those recommendations, and we are hoping that the House will adopt the recommendations that we will make. Speaker, whenever a bill is before us in the House, I always go straight to the objects for which the bill is proposed. There is usually attached to the bill a memorandum of objects and reasons. And Honourable Speaker, when I went through these proposed amendments to the Public Audit Act, that is a bill from the National Assembly, you will see there in the memorandum of objects and reasons that the purpose of this bill is to amend the Public Audit Act in order to align it with the Constitution following a declaration issued by the High Court in the case of Transparency International versus Attorney General and the Auditor General as a first interested party, Africa Center for Open Governance, and there are a few other parties there, petition number 388 of 2016, declaring certain sections of the Public Audit Act to be unconstitutional. Mr. Speaker, I have printed out that specific judgment that was delivered on the 16th day of February 2018 by Justice Mwita, and I will be making reference to that particular judgment extensively, Honorable Speaker, because the memorandum of objects and reasons for the amendments that are being proposed states that, you know, it is in order to bring the bill in conformity with the judgment of Justice Mwita. So, Honorable Speaker, if we want to really believe that this bill is supposed to respond to this judgment, it is important to know what the judgment was and the reasoning of the judge in declaring certain sections of the Public Audit Act as unconstitutional. Mr. Speaker, if you skip to if you skip to paragraph 76 of the judgment, this is where the judge turns to answer the issues raised in the petition. And Honorable Speaker, the first issue that was raised in court was that subsection 2 of the then section 4 had defined the Auditor General as a statutory head, which in ordinary circumstances, in the wisdom of the judge, reduced a constitutional office, because we know the Auditor General is a constitutional office, is one of those independent offices under the Constitution, to a statutory.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to address the House. Mr. Speaker, it is my first time to have this opportunity. It is my first time, Mr. Speaker, to be given time to say something, and you have gotten me off guard, Mr. Speaker, because I didn't expect you to ask me to say something. Mr. Speaker, I'm still learning, you know. In life, we learn slowly, and it's a process. So within no time, I'll be able to catch up, and I'll be a good debater in the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Very well, Senator Chamitei. If you don't want to speak, don't log in, because I'll have your name here, and I'll certainly ask you to speak. Now, honorable senators, we have done more than 15 minutes, and therefore we will move to the next order. Next order, clerk.
Order number 8, the Agriculture Produce Minimum Guaranteed Returns Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2025. Second reading, mover to reply.
That order will be deferred because the mover is not present. The next order. We are also going to defer order number 9 because it's due for division. Yes, Senator Maruma.
Mr. Speaker, now that some of us are not there to contribute to agricultural produce minimum guaranteed returns bill, is it possible, because the mover is not here to reply, Mr. Speaker, that you give us opportunity to speak to it?
Yes, you're saying what? I'm not getting you. Sorry. I was a senator from Mombasa was called Sultan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was seeking your indulgence. Some of us have not contributed to the agricultural produce minimum guaranteed returns, and now that the mover is not here to reply, we would like to seek your indulgence, maybe if I can contribute to it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That hurdle has long been crossed, and therefore this particular order is up today for a response from the mover, not to open debate. If you're not present when it was open for debate, then I'm afraid may not be in a position to reopen debate at this particular juncture. We are going to defer order number 9 and move to order number 10. You may proceed to call that order, Clerk.
Order number 10, the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills. The Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 4 of 2024. Second reading, resumption of debate.
Now, on debate was interrupted on Wednesday, 11th March 2026, Senator Alan Chesang had the floor, and he had 12 minutes, had a balance of 12 minutes to go. I am not seeing the Honorable Senator in the chamber, and therefore we will proceed with debate. Senator for Nairobi City County, the Honorable Edwin Sifuna.
Speaker, thank you for giving me opportunity to contribute to this bill. As you know, Speaker, I'm a member of the Public Accounts Committee, and I was listening to the Majority Leader advising us on the timelines when we need to submit some of the reports. I want to confirm to you, Majority Leader, that there was a retreat, a report writing retreat this weekend, and there are some of those reports that are ready. The challenge we've had in the committee is a challenge that you are aware of as part of the leadership of this House, that some of the entities, the governors especially, some of them, not all of them, some of them have refused to appear before the Public Accounts Committee and the Public Investments Committee. We are happy, Honourable Speaker, that not all governors have fallen into that bad habit. In fact, today the governor for Siaya, the Honorable James Orengo, appeared before the County Public Investments Committee, and we processed 2 county assemblies, Honorable Speaker. The County Assembly of Kakamega, which is one of the few assemblies we noted as a committee that have also already considered the Auditor General's report and have tabled a report in the House that has been adopted. And we also had the County Assembly of Muranga appearing before us this morning. So we are doing our best. And Marsabit, yes, and Marsabit, I'm being reminded by the Vice Chair. We are doing our best to be able to beat those deadlines, and the House will be more than happy with the reports that we will present. Honourable Speaker, there are governors who think that by refusing to show up that the work of this House will stop. We will continue with our work, we will make recommendations, we will come to this House to defend those recommendations, and we're hoping that the House will adopt the recommendations that we will make. Speaker, whenever a bill is before us in the House, I always go straight to the objects for which the bill is proposed. There is usually attached to the bill a memorandum of objects and reasons. And Honourable Speaker, when I went through these proposed amendments to the Public Audit Act, that is a bill from the National Assembly, you will see there in the memorandum of objects and reasons that the purpose of this bill is to amend the Public Audit Act in order to align it with the Constitution following a declaration issued by the High Court in the case of Transparency International versus Attorney General and the Auditor General as a first interested party, Africa Center for Open Governance, and there are a few other parties there, petition number 388 of 2016, declaring certain sections of the Public Audit Act to be unconstitutional. Mr. Speaker, I have printed out that specific judgment that was delivered on the 16th day of February 2018 by Justice Mwita, and I will be making reference to that particular judgment extensively, Honourable Speaker, because the memorandum of objects and reasons for the amendments that are being proposed states that, it is in order to bring the bill in conformity with the judgment of Justice Mwita. So, Honourable Speaker, if we want to really believe that this bill is supposed to respond to this judgment, it is important to know what the judgment was and the reasoning of the judge in declaring certain sections of the Public Audit Act as unconstitutional. Mr. Speaker, if you skip to if you skip to paragraph 76 of the judgment, this is where the judge turns to answer the issues raised in the petition. And Honorable Speaker, the first issue that was raised in court was that subsection 2 of the then section 4 had defined the Auditor General as a statutory head, which in ordinary circumstances, in the wisdom of the judge, reduced a constitutional office, because we know the Auditor General is a constitutional office, is one of those independent offices under the Constitution, to a statutory one. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, if you want to see the response in the amendment, we must have an amendment that cures the problem that the judge pointed out. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, when you go to the amendment that touches on section 4.2, you will see here, Honorable Speaker, that what the National Assembly has done is to change the words statutory head and replace those words with accounting officer. Now, I have a problem with that, Honorable Speaker, because if you listen to the reasoning of the judge was telling the National Assembly, or the petitioners, the respondents in this particular place, that the Constitution has already defined who the Auditor General is. It's a constitutional office, so that you don't need to add any other terms when describing that office, that we already have a constitutional definition with the responsibilities of that particular office. So that, Honorable Speaker, when the previous act had the word statutory head, it made it seem like the Auditor General is being given a role to oversee a team, that there is a team there. But the Constitution recognizes an individual. Actually, the words of Article, I think it is 229, the words of that article are that there shall be an Auditor General. And that is the problem that the judge had with this particular section, as was then provided for. So the judge also has spoken to in addition to the functions and responsibilities of, in addition to the definition of the Office of Auditor General, the law already provides the functions and responsibilities of the Auditor General, so that you cannot bring legislation to try and purport to either add any functions on top of the ones that are in the Constitution, or in fact attempt to expand that definition of the functions and responsibilities of the Auditor General. So the first point of departure, Honorable Speaker, is that I do not see how the National Assembly replacing the words statutory head in the definition of the Auditor General and replacing it with what they are calling accounting officer will evade that constitutional trap that had been set in the previous act. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we will be saying that this particular amendment as proposed is not in conformance with the findings of the judge. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, there is a provision here in terms of the Auditor General's powers under Article 252(1). The Constitution is clear that each commission and each holder of an independent office shall recruit its own staff. Honorable Speaker, the judge says here, to that extent, therefore, and giving a holistic reading to Articles 229, 234, 249, 252, reveals that the Auditor General cannot be subject to the public service when either recruiting or disciplining his staff. In fact, Honorable Speaker, the Auditor General is given the role constitutionally to be able to come up with their own staff establishment. I have seen a proposal in this amendment here, Honorable Speaker, to create the office of somebody they are calling a Deputy Auditor General. Honorable Speaker, I will leave it to the constitutional scholars to advise us if indeed it is possible for you to create a deputy of a constitutional office outside the Constitution itself. And I have given the example, Honorable Speaker, of other constitutional offices. You will remember, for instance, there is a Chief Justice, and in that same Constitution, it provides for the Deputy Chief Justice. So the question I'm asking myself, is it possible for us to create an office for the Auditor General as Parliament, when he has been given the constitutional duty and mandate to actually have his own establishment, his own staff establishment, or her own staff establishment in the current case, so that they should be the one to decide that we need 2 deputies or 1 deputy. Can Parliament really abrogate themselves that responsibility of creating a staff establishment for the Auditor General? Honorable Speaker, the other issue that we have is the other problem that the judge raised with the previous provisions of the law was the question of the board. I think just let me find the paragraph. Honorable Speaker, you will see that this particular amendment has tried to provide for something that they are calling an audit advisory board. Let me just find that particular provision. It's 17 here. 17 on the bill, amending section 25. This law proposes to establish an audit advisory board. And Honorable Speaker, you will see the proposed membership there. And then they are saying that the functions of that board are provided for, Honorable Speaker, at provision number 19, which seeks to amend section 27 of the Act, that the subject to at section 10 of this Act and upon approval by the Auditor General, the Audit Advisory Board shall generally be responsible for providing advisory on budget plans and estimates. You will see at B, it says human resource management and development, then any other matter that might be referred to the board. Speaker, this is what the judge said, that having an audit advisory board is an interference with the institutional and individual independence of the Office of the Auditor General. That it alters the constitutional architecture of the independent Office of the Auditor General and the principles of independence contemplated by the Constitution. It also violates Article 249(2)(b), which states that he is an independent and not subject to direction or control of any person. There can be no doubt that the function of the Audit Advisory Board to advise the Auditor General in the performance of his functions under the Constitution violates the constitutional values and principles of independence of the Auditor General in Articles 229 and 2492. So, if indeed this bill was brought in order to conform with this decision of the High Court, my argument is that, Honourable Speaker, we needed to do away entirely with that Audit Advisory Board, because as the court has observed, Honourable Speaker, it interferes with his institutional and individual independence as an independent office in the Constitution. So therefore, Honourable Speaker, that particular section for me has to go. And I'm hoping that when we come to the Committee of the Whole at some point, we shall have amendments to this bill to align it properly with what is stated as the objective in the Memorandum of Objects and Reasons. So, Speaker, let me move to another issue that I wanted to raise with the bill. Not everything is doom and gloom, but because they expressed it as a bill to conform with this particular judgment, we have to make sure that it complies. Otherwise, it will suffer the same fate. Speaker, I am very happy. There's a provision there under Clause 26 of the bill that now grants the Auditor General independence in terms of initiating forensic or investigative audits. When people appear before us at the County Public Accounts Committee, sometimes, Honourable Speaker, we see a need for forensic audits, especially where there is grave suspicion that public money has been lost. The previous law was that forensic audit could only be initiated from a request by Parliament or from Parliament. So the Auditor General could not undertake forensic audit on their own. They had to get a request from Parliament and its committees for them to initiate that. What this is doing is that it is giving the auditor a free hand. So the new section there says the Auditor General may, on his or her initiative or upon request, conduct forensic or investigative audits. And the removal of the word Parliament after request opens it up, Honourable Speaker, to request from other agencies, not just Parliament, and that they can do it sui motu or on their own accord. Honourable Speaker, there is also provision under Clause 28 for the Auditor General to conduct compliance audits to examine whether a public entity has complied with relevant laws, regulations, and policies. That is important because it is not just about money and the financials. These are what we call compliance, compliance audits are compliance with laws. And the best example I can give you, Honorable Speaker, is that, I'm the SG of ODM. We also have compliance audits by the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties. And the last one that was conducted on all political parties in Kenya, the report from the ORPP states that ODM is the only political party in Kenya fully compliant with all the laws that govern the operations of political parties. And I'm very proud of that, Honorable Speaker. I don't want to mention any other party. I can see the way the Speaker is looking at me. I might get into trouble. Honorable Speaker, at 38C there, it also provides that the Auditor General may conduct any other audit that she or he may deem necessary for the better carrying out of his function. So those are provisions that I find are going to be very, very useful. There is provisions of timelines at clause 29, which proposes to amend section 39 of the Principal Act, giving us 6 months after Parliament or the County Assembly has made recommendations. So, for instance, Speaker, we made recommendations here to county governments. And in fact, the process that we've been doing right now is to follow up on those recommendations. And Speaker, you will recall that we as a Senate had to pass a special motion for us to be able to continue to engage with these entities, for instance, the county governments, for them to give us follow-up on recommendations. Now, here they have been given a period of 6 months that they have to, within those 6 months of the recommendations being passed, they shall submit a report to Parliament, now to us, on how it has addressed the recommendations of previous year's audit. And this is a matter that I believe is going to be helpful in terms of aiding transparency and the work that we do, both as a Senate and specifically as the County Public Accounts Committee and the PIC. Then, Honorable Speaker, another issue here is at Section 43, one of the issues that the public has really been raining on us, not just as the Public Accounts Committee, but also as a Senate, is that we make all these good recommendations, Honorable Speaker. They can see we are doing our oversight, Speaker. But then they ask, where is the output? Because we have struggled to explain to them that we also depend on other agencies for us to be able to bring, say, rogue governors to heel. You are aware that we had to summon the IG of police, for instance, before the Public Accounts Committee and ask him to give the assurance that if Senate wants or requires the presence of a specific governor, that his office is going to be able to deliver. Sifuna, as Senator of Nairobi, I have no powers of arrest. That's not to mean some of these governors, I don't have the desire to arrest. If I had those powers, Honorable Speaker, some of these people would be in jail. But we depend on other constitutional offices. So if you see clause 43 there, it says where the Auditor General establishes that any person, supplier or audited entity has been involved in fraud or corrupt practice, the Auditor General may collaborate with other investigative, enforcement, regulatory and oversight agencies, including the National Police Service, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, ODPP, and Public Procurement Administrative Review Board, and even the National Treasury for their action. This, I believe, is going to help us, Honorable Speaker, because previously the reports of the auditor just come to us as Parliament. Then we make those recommendations. This act now is giving the Auditor General a mandate of actually collaborating directly with these people. For instance, the collaboration with National Treasury, in my expectation, is the Auditor General should be able to tell them, the National Treasury, to stop funds going to entities that are found to have misused public funds, or to the Public Procurement Administrative Review Board. You can see there, Honorable Speaker, at subclause 2 of 43, that the Auditor General can actually make recommendations for debarment. Because in my time in the Public Accounts Committee, there are notorious companies that always show up. For instance, in the area of these systems for revenue collection, you will find one entity has brought problems in Nairobi. Then the next time you interact with Narok, you find out that Narok has actually given that same company the job of collecting revenue on their behalf. Then you will find them springing up somewhere in Murang'a, because previously we have not had the Auditor General's authority to be able to make these recommendations for debarment of some of these firms so that they stay away from public resources. Then, Mr. Speaker, I think those are the ones that I have identified as positives, but we will be hoping that we can have conversations about the negatives that I have pointed out, especially stemming from the judgment of the High Court, so that we actually align this act with the judgment. Our biggest fear, Honorable Speaker, as people sworn to defend the Constitution, is certain pronouncements, especially from people in executive authority, both at the national and county levels, castigating these independent offices. Speaker, we have had words being thrown by very senior individuals in this country, at Margaret Nyakango, for instance, at the Office of the Auditor General, at the Office of the Control of Budget. And we fear sometimes when we see such legislation, Honorable Speaker, that there could be a motive to either stifle the operations of that office, to cripple them, or to be able to control them for some reason. Because you will see, for instance, that advisory board, Honorable Speaker, one of the issues that was raised even in the petition and in the judgment is that it was very heavy with, national government officials. In fact, the court had a problem with the Attorney General being a member of that advisory committee because, as you know, the Office of the Attorney General is also subject to audit by the Office of the Auditor General. So we have reason to be skeptical because some of the headlines that we have been seeing coming from the Control of Budget are not very flattering to the executive. For instance, when we saw the reports on the Social Health Authority and the billions of shillings that she's pointing out, or Talanta Stadium, we have to be very careful because we are sworn to defend the Constitution that some of these amendments don't come or don't end up fettering on the independence of these offices.
Senator Enoch.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting me this opportunity to also add my voice to the bill on public audit amendment 2024. Mr. Speaker, I will be very brief, and I just want to limit myself to the issue captured in the bill on repealing Section 25 of Capo 41211. Mr. Speaker, first things first. The Office of the Auditor General is a constitutional independent office established under Article 229 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Mr. Speaker, let credit be given where credit is due. Human beings, individuals, give character to offices. The lady Nancy Janet Kabui Gadhongo has given character to the office of the Auditor General during her term of office. She has, in the eyes of the public, done extremely, extremely well in holding public entities to account in as far as the management of public finances is concerned. Mr. Speaker, when you see a proposed amendment that seeks to establish a board, the Audit Advisory Board, Mr. Speaker, then you smell a rat. Because then the question to ask will be, what advice does the Office of the Auditor General need from people sitting outside the office on how to carry out their mandate? The Speaker, as Senator Sifuna has mentioned, one of the persons that is supposed to sit in that board, the proposed board, is the Attorney General or a representative from the office of the Attorney General. The Attorney General office is a public office, Mr. Speaker, that draws money from the exchequer, so it's a subject of audit by the Office of the Auditor General. And one wonders then, if the Attorney General is sitting in the advisory board to advise the Auditor General, what advice will that office give when it comes to auditing their own account? What advice is the Attorney General supposed to give to the Auditor General on an audit of the office of the Attorney General? Mr. Speaker, that's a serious conflict right there. Mr. Speaker, the real poison in this amendment for me is now when you define the roles of that advisory board. That it is supposed to advise on budget plans and estimates for the Office of the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, you know the best way of killing an institution, an independent institution, is to deny it the necessary tools, including the budget, to undertake its mandate. And now, you are bringing in a board that is supposed to advise the Office of the Auditor General on what their budget for their own operations is supposed to be and to look like. This board, the proposal is, it should also advise the Auditor General, or the Office of the Auditor General, on the management of their human resource. Mr. Speaker, from where I sit, there's a reason why this office was established. And the framers of the Constitution were very clear on why they needed the independence of the Office of the Auditor General. And one of the things that was very, very clear is that this is an office that should be able to check on the expenditure of public resources by persons that the resources are assigned to. Trying to bring a board to advise that authority, Mr. Speaker, that office, is actually watering down the effectiveness of that office. And Mr. Speaker, we should be ready to draw parallels from outside the country. In the United States of America, Mr. Speaker, there is a Government Accountability Office which operates within the legislative branch of the federal government of the US. And that office, Mr. Speaker, is given a single term of 15 years, non-renewable. So they are able to carry out audits without interference from the executive. The president of the US, a friendly country that we shouldn't make a lot of comments on, is has a problem with congressional auditors. But I've never seen any people from a side of government bringing an amendment to the office of the Government Accountability Office because they don't agree with the things that she says. And that lady, Oris Williams-Brown, has been very firm on our audits, just as much as our own Nancy has been very firm on our audits. Mr. Speaker, my plea is that whatever happens to this bill, I want to urge my colleagues to be very, very cautious in accepting the establishment of a board, an advisory board, to the office of the Auditor General. Whatever we do with this bill, let us ensure that instead of watering down the operational capacity of the Office of the Auditor General, we should enhance that capacity. And the best way of doing it is to reject the establishment of an advisory board to that office. And least of all, Mr. Speaker, even if the worst was to come to the worst, and these members here would agree, and I don't see them agreeing, to the establishment of the board, then the Attorney General or his office can never sit in that board, Mr. Speaker. You cannot sit as an advisor to an office that is supposed to audit your own operations. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I support the bill, but with amendments to remove that board from the proposal. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wakili Sigei.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this particular bill. And Mr. Speaker, I want to, before I make my comments, appreciate the Senator for Nairobi, Senator Sifuna. He's done justice to this law, particularly on the basis of the objective of the bill, because if indeed it's true that it is founded on the desire to comply with the pronouncements of the court, that has not been fully done by the provisions that are in this bill. Mr. Speaker, I therefore fully associate myself largely with the comments made on the clauses that the Honorable Justice Mwita in his judgment had pronounced himself on how the law should be interpreted and how the office of the Auditor General should be treated, because it is a constitutional office. Mr. Speaker, this office is a very important office. It is a sacrosanct office, and that is why it is founded under the provisions of Article 229 of the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, it's not only Article 229 that speaks to the office of the Auditor General. Article 248 makes reference to this office as the only other independent office besides the office of the Controller of Budget, over and above the constitutional commissions. And therefore, that reference of this office as an independent office is in itself very, very critical. And beyond that, again, Mr. Speaker, the reference to the office of the Auditor General under Article 252(3, that gives it the mandate among the few of offices that are granted the mandate and the order to order witnesses to appear before it and testify on any matter, gives it also the additional independence and the importance of the office, and therefore we should jealously protect that independence to the extent that whichever law that we are seeking to amend, to introduce, it must be a law that improves it and not that diminishes the office of the Auditor General. The appointment of the Auditor General in itself, a very highly guarded office. The appointment must be subjected to Parliament. It must be approved by Parliament. The holder of that office sits in that office for a single term of 8 years, non-renewable. Those requirements, Mr. Speaker, and the process leading to the holder of that office being appointed gives it the importance. And therefore, even as we debate the proposals to amend this 2015 law, we must be alive to the fact that at the end of it all, this office must jealously be protected by all of us in order to make sure that we give it the independence that the Constitution gives it. And Mr. Speaker, this House, largely what we do as an oversight House is emanating from the report of the Auditor General. And therefore, in fact, largely the business of this House, if the office of the Auditor General were to be watered down in its mandate, then we will have no business to do. The county governments that we oversight almost on a daily basis as regards the misuse of public funds and resources will definitely be having a field day. And therefore, even as we support this bill, we must be very cautious of protecting the independence of the office of the Auditor General. And if there is anything that seeks to take away even an inch of that mandate, Mr. Speaker, that will be a sufficient ground to reject any of such provisions. And even if it means largely the entirety of the proposals to amend, Mr. Speaker, we should, as a House, be ready to do that. Mr. Speaker, the proposals under this bill, the Public Audit Amendment Bill 2025, now to be specific on the various clauses, are some supporting and enhancing the mandate of the Office of the Auditor General. Some are giving a guide as to the management and administration of that constitutional mandate. And of course, we would support, and I would support such particular proposals. But then there are some clauses, Mr. Speaker, which we must either amend in the committee of the whole or totally reject them, because we must protect this office. And I will, Mr. Speaker, attempt in the time available to me to look at those particular clauses which we will support and which I'll ask the members of this House to support where necessary, and those which we must reject or amend in order to protect the sacrosanct office of the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, the proposal under Section Clause 5 that seeks to amend Section 7 of the original Public Audit Act is a provision that is seeking to strengthen the purpose and the office of the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, it seeks to introduce a Clause 7CA that requires the Auditor General to satisfy himself or herself in terms of the utility of the public resources that a government entity has been mandated to utilize. And it introduces a clause to the effect that the office, or rather the Auditor General, must ensure that they are satisfied that the resources have been used in an economic, efficient, effective, transparent, and sustainable manner. That introduction of that clause, Mr. Speaker, speaks to the language of the Constitution that says, or that requires of government agencies to make sure that the resources that are given to them are utilized in a manner that is transparent and sustainable, among others. And such a proposal, Mr. Speaker, is welcome and is supported. Further, Mr. Speaker, the introduction under Clause 6 of an additional provision that repeals Section 8 of the original Act and introduces a new Section 8 gives the mandate of the mandate to the office of the Auditor General without delegating. Previously, the law provides that the Auditor General can delegate, subject to the provisions of Article 234(5) of the Constitution, some of its role. This particular proposal, therefore, takes away that delegation and in itself affirms the fact that the Office of the Auditor General is an independent office, and therefore, as the accounting officer, whatever decisions that are to be made can only be made by the Auditor General and not delegated to any other officer within or without the Office of the Auditor General. The introduction of sub-clause 8G is an introduction. It's a new introduction. It provides that the Auditor General, as part of his or her mandate, is to conduct and prepare audits on human resource in the public service. Mr. Speaker, this is a new introduction which is highly welcome, because besides the normal audits that we normally do, the scope of the audit that the Auditor General can conduct in public institutions has now been extended to human resource. Remember, there is a provision, Mr. Speaker, later on that I'll come to, where we are talking about county governments having ballooned in terms of employing. They have become employment bureaus. They've gone beyond 35% that the laws allows of their shareable revenue, and some even beyond 55%. This provision will allow the Auditor General to conduct human resource audits on our public institutions, the public service, and even the county governments, because county governments are subject of the Auditor General's audit. And secondly, the introduction of sub-article 8H, where the Auditor General is allowed, in consultation with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, to establish remuneration and benefits of each member of the staff. Previously, this was not fully recognized, and therefore the recognition of the role of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission similarly enhances the role that independent commissions will give to the office of the Auditor General. Notwithstanding the fact that it's an independent office, it is in law required to consult with SRC when it's seeking to establish the remuneration and benefits of members of the staff. Mr. Speaker, there is only an introduction that will render that particular section unconstitutional if it is not repealed. That is introduction of section 8.2. This section 8.2 is the one that establishes the office of the Audit Advisory Board. Mr. Speaker, I'll still come to this in a short while, but having this particular clause under 8.2 renders that entire clause unconstitutional because it is subjecting the Auditor General to seek advice of the Audit Advisory Board. That alone takes the independence of the Auditor General, which is provided for in the Constitution, away, and that subsection 2 of the new section 8 is going to render the whole act, or rather bill, unconstitutional, and therefore that should be deleted, that should be amended. If not, it will make the whole act unconstitutional. Now, under the newly introduced section 8A, that introduces the office of an individual or a person called Head of Public Service Human Resource Audit Directorate. I want to disagree with my colleague Senator Sifuna on this one, because this particular directorate is under the office of the Auditor General. It does not take away the independence, and this person is supposed to be the person supporting the Auditor General in managing the structure of that particular office. And this is introduced under section 8A, which is new, and it is directly under the office of the Auditor General. So this person reports directly to the Auditor General, and therefore it does not in any way take away that independence which we are saying should be maintained, should be protected, and any law that takes it away will definitely be unconstitutional. Under now 8B, which is a new clause also, this is the one that speaks to now the establishment of what section 8.1G on public human resource public audit. This one says the Public Service Human Resource Audit Directorate, this newly introduced office under the office of the Auditor General, is going to be responsible for conducting and preparing audits on human resource in the public service. Mr. Speaker, I have already submitted that counties have become employment bureaus. If they are not audited, if they are not controlled, they will be bureaus that only conducts employment, and it will balloon their wage bill, and there will be zero or no reduced development vote because of the human resource that takes away the options that we have. It will also help by creating this particular directorate under the office of the Auditor General, enhance what we would call affirmative action in the persons to be put into that office. We have county governments, as I've said, which have employed persons beyond that which the system can absorb, and it has completely eaten into the development voted of their counties. And therefore, if they will be enhancing the scope of the office of the Auditor General to ensure that they conduct audits on such public offices, this will also help this House and help the public in ensuring that we don't just employ because we have got resources. We employ because there is need, and we employ in compliance with what the law requires of us as institutions, Mr. Speaker, to do. The amendment to Section 11 of the Act by the newly introduced Clause 9, Mr. Speaker, under B, provides for a timeline within which the office of the Auditor General, when it falls vacant, should be filled. And the timeline which is provided for notification of this expiry of the term of the office of the Auditor General provides for an opportunity for succession planning. And that is a welcome provision that will facilitate replacement of that office within the requisite timeline and it does not anticipate a vacuum in that particular office, and having it in law will help to ensure that that is fully complied. And by providing under the newly introduced section 11D, the proviso to the effect that such an appointment should and must be appointed strictly within the timeline. This one also does not contemplate an existence of a vacuum in the office of the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, the proposal under Clause 11 that seeks to amend Section 14 of the existing Act is equally a welcome move. The introduction of subsection 2 that requires the office of the Auditor General, where this advisory board that reports, because the new proposal in the Act says that the Auditor General shall be the chairman of the audit board. This audit board therefore reports and take instructions from the office of the Auditor General, and therefore where the Auditor General is required to seek advice, the law as it is proposed here uses the word may. In that case, it means it gives the Auditor General the discretion whether to seek for that advice or not to seek for that advice. That way, we are still maintaining the independence of the office of the Auditor General, and we are not going to allow any other third party or any other board for that matter to direct the Auditor General in any particular way. Mr. Speaker, Clause 17 of this bill seeks to amend Section 20 of the Act by providing that any audit report that is submitted or made available by the Auditor General must be given to the entity, and a copy of that particular report be availed to the National Assembly or the respective county assemblies. And that was not available in the previous law. This means, therefore, the law as is recognizes the role that this particular House seeks to establish. I would, however, propose an amendment that the reference to a copy of the Auditor General's report should not only be submitted to the National Assembly alone, they should be submitted to the Senate, because this House also has a mandate to oversight. This House also has a mandate to look at those audit reports, especially of institutions like county governments. The drafters must appreciate that the law, or rather the Constitution, recognizes that the language should be Parliament rather than reference to National Assembly and the Senate. So I would propose that this particular introduction of Section 20A include submission of the report to this House. Mr. Speaker, the requirement that that particular report also, where the, actually let me read, because this is very important in terms of budgetary allocation to the Office of the Auditor General. It provides that, Mr. Speaker, if the expenditure provided under subsection 3 of this section are in the opinion of the OAG insufficient to allow the office to properly carry out its mandate, the Auditor General shall submit to the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate a special report to be presented to the committee responsible for matters related to budget and appropriation. Mr. Speaker, this provision is being introduced to safeguard on the funding of the Office of the Auditor General. Remember, we have on very many occasions had the Auditor General complaining that they have insufficient resources allocated to them, where the law now allows them to submit a special report to you and the Speaker of the National Assembly. And the next available avenue for you as the Speaker and the counterpart Speaker of the National Assembly is to have the relevant committee enhance the budgetary allocation. This way, we will be supporting the Office of the Auditor General in terms of the budgetary allocation. And this is a new and important introduction to the law that will enhance the allocation of the budget and support to the Office of the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, under Clause 25, this is the clause that establishes now the Audit Advisory Board. And the only reason why I would support this particular clause, Mr. Speaker, is to the extent that it provides that the chairperson of this board is the Auditor General himself or herself. The previous law had provided that
Upon the establishment of this board, the first business of that board will be to elect from among themselves one of them to be the chairperson, and directly and expressly excludes the Auditor General. That is where the problem is, because they will be actually undermining the office of the Auditor General to be subservient to a chairperson of the advisory board when the Auditor General is a constitutional office. But now this amendment says clearly and expressly that the chairperson of this board is the Auditor General himself or herself. However, I entirely oppose the inclusion of the Attorney General in this particular board. For obvious reasons, my colleagues have stated that the office of the Attorney General is audited by the OAG, that is the Auditor General.
Yeah, just 1 minute to conclude your thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is no way we will have the Attorney General sitting in the advisory on the office of the Auditor General. For obvious reasons, this person reports to the Auditor General in terms of the audit. Therefore, we should delete the requirement of the person, a representative of the Attorney General or the Attorney General himself, to sit in that particular audit, advisory audit. As long as the Attorney General is not there, then we will pass as is. Other than that, Mr. Speaker, the introduction of the other members. Previously, there were 6 members of this audit advisory board, which was an even number. In this, which was an even number. But right now, the amendment has reduced the number to 5, meaning they can make decisions because it is an even number. Mr. Speaker, this particular bill is a very important bill, if only we amend the various areas where they are not compliant with the Constitution. Otherwise, if it goes as it is, Mr. Speaker, I am sure it will be rejected because it will be unconstitutional in a number of the aspects. Mr. Speaker, I heard so much, but because of time, I will stop at that. Allow me just to mention one more important. The introduction of the new Section 38A. This Section 38A allows the Auditor General to conduct their own independent audits without any request by either Parliament or any other person. This particular one also facilitates periodic citizen accountability. Citizen accountability, Mr. Speaker, has previously been in form of frameworks, but the moment it is in law as it is right now, residents, citizens will be able to participate in audit of projects at the lowest level of representation, that is at the ward level, because the office of the Auditor General will have an avenue to conduct audits where citizens are allowed to participate in the process of conducting audits without necessarily being a subject of a framework that has got no basis and not anchored in law. This introduction will be very important. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I support this bill subject to the amendments on the various clauses which I and other colleagues have said, because we need to protect the independence of the office of the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Maruma.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa ili kuchangia huu mswada wa marekebisho ya sheria ya public audit. Mheshimiwa Spika, nichukue dakika moja kuelezea kidogo ya kwamba katika uangalizi wa matumizi ya pesa za serikali kuna taasisi mbalimbali za kufanya uangalizi. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika county kuna county assembly ambayo inaangalia uangalizi wa gavana na mawaziri, na wakati mwaka umeisha wa fedha, ibara ya 229 inasema ya kwamba kufanya uhasibu na mhasibu mkuu ama auditor general, na kumewekwa wakati wa kufanya uhasibu ya kwamba kufikia Disemba tarehe 31 ya kila mwaka mhasibu mkuu au ametoa ripoti, na hiyo ripoti kufika kwa bunge ya Senate, kufika kwa bunge ya kitaifa na kufika kwa bunge za magatuzi. Mheshimiwa Spika, mhasibu anafanya kazi nzuri sana, kwa sababu wakati matumizi katika kaunti yametekelezwa, basi mhasibu anatembea na kukutana na gavana na mawaziri wake na kuuliza maswali ya matumizi ya pesa za kaunti, na wakati ni taasisi zingine kama mashule, university ambazo zinatumia pesa za serikali zinafanyiwa uhasibu. Mheshimiwa Spika, nimekuwa katika kamati ya uhasibu kwa miaka kadhaa, na zile sheria ambazo tunategemea ili kufanya uangalizi ama oversight. Mheshimiwa Spika, ya kwanza ni katiba ya Kenya ambayo tulipitisha mwaka wa 2010. Mheshimiwa Spika, ya pili ni ile sheria inaitwa Public Finance Management Act, ndio inayotusaidia pia kuangalia kama pesa zimetumika kwa mujibu wa sheria. Sheria ya tatu, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni ile inaitwa County Government Act, na pia kuna Cities and Municipalities Act ambayo ni sheria tunayotumia katika kuangalia matumizi ya pesa. Na ya mwisho, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni hii inaitwa Public Audit Act ambayo inafanyiwa marekebisho. Mheshimiwa Spika, wakati sheria imetungwa na hili nyumba, manake nyumba ya bunge kazi yake ni kutunga sheria, wakati inatumika, Mheshimiwa Spika, saa zingine kuna kuwa na zile gaps, na kuna pendekezwa kila wakati ipigwe msasa ili itumike vizuri. Mheshimiwa Spika, wakati uhasibu umeisha na mhasibu mkuu, zile ripoti zikitengenezwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, bunge zinaletwa bunge, na bunge wanaita wale watu ambao walitumia zile pesa na kuwauliza maswali. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu kama kuna matumizi ya pesa ambayo hayakufanyika vizuri, ni huyu mhasibu ambaye anaangalia na kusema kwamba hapa sheria ama fedha hazikutumika kwa mujibu wa sheria. Mheshimiwa Spika, mara kwa mara, Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapata ya kwamba magavana wanakataa kuja kujibu maswali ambayo yameulizwa na huyu mhasibu, lakini ni kisheria kwamba kila gavana ambaye anatumia pesa, assembly ambayo inatumia pesa, Mheshimiwa Spika, na zile taasisi zote za serikali lazima zije bunge ili kuja kujibu maswali. Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa naangalia kipengele cha 25 ambacho hii sheria imesema kwamba kibadilishwe, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kutengeneza bodi ya kutoa mawaidha kwa mhasibu mkuu. Nimeangalia na nimesoma hii sheria na sijaona ni kwa nini mapendekezo kama haya ya kutengeneza bodi ya kutoa mawaidha kwa mhasibu yanatokezea. Kwa sababu hii bodi tukiangalia inaweza pelekea kupunguza nguvu za huyu mhasibu mkuu. Mheshimiwa Senator Wabomete amesema kwamba hakuna shida yote, ni wewe chair, sikuangalia kwamba wewe umesimama kwa kiti umeketi, ya kwamba yeye akiwa kama mwenyekiti wa hiyo board hakutakuwa na shida yote na kwamba anaweza fanya kazi yake kulingana na sheria. Lakini kama kutakuwa na hiyo board, na katika wakati wa kufanya mikutano lazima kuwe na ile inaitwa quorum, ama wale board members wafikie namba fulani. Kutatokea namna gani kama watu wamekataa kwenda kwa hiyo mikutano? Itabidi ya kwamba hiyo board haitaketi kwa sababu ya quorum, na kazi ya mhasibu mkuu inaweza pata pigo, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo mimi sijaona yale mapungufu katika ile sheria ya 2015 ambayo yanapelekea kufanya marekebisho na kuweka board, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna sheria na sheria za wahasibu ama auditors wako na watu wao wa kuangalia kama wanafanya kazi vizuri, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na kwa hivyo sioni kama kutakuwa na maana yote ya kuweka hii bodi, ambayo ukiangalia tena hii bodi ambayo imewekwa kwamba mkuu wa sheria pia awe hapo ndani kwa hiyo board, na yeye mwenyewe anatakana kufanyia uhasibu na mhasibu mkuu. Hapo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunasema kwamba kuna conflict of interest katika hii sheria, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo mimi nitaunga mkono haya marekebisho ya sheria, lakini la mno, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni lazima tuangalie, tuifanyie marekebisho ili mkuu wa sheria ambaye anatakikana kufanyia uhasibu asiwe pale ndani katika board ambayo inafanyia uhasibu ofisi ya mkuu wa sheria, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kipengee cha 8(b), Mheshimiwa Spika, kinasema ya kwamba kuwe na hiyo wameita Directorate of Human Resource ambayo itafanyia uhasibu wafanyi kazi katika serikali. Mheshimiwa Spika, tayari kunafanyika uhasibu katika county, serikali za county, kunafanyika uhasibu katika wanaofanya kazi ama watu wanaofanya kazi katika serikali ya kitaifa. Sasa sielewi ni kwa nini ama kulikuwa na mapungufu gani katika ofisi ya mhasibu ili kupelekea kuwa na directorate ya human resource. Mwaka uliopita, Mheshimiwa Spika, county zote 47 zilifanywa uhasibu na kuangalia wale watu ambao wanafanya kazi kwa county, na county zote saizi ziko na report ambazo, Mheshimiwa Spika, kamati ya bunge ya uhasibu ya hii Senate imeletewa hizo report tayari, na wakati wowote tutaanza kuita magavana ili watuelezee yale makosa ambayo yameonekana kutokana na uhasibu wa huyu mhasibu mkuu wa fedha. Kwa hivyo sielewi yale mapungufu ama gaps ambazo yalikuwa katika hii sheria ili kupelekea kutengeneza bodi kama hii, lakini tutaitazama kwa ukaribu ili kama tutaelekezwa na ile kamati ambayo iko, wakiona kuna umuhimu basi tuiache hapo. Mheshimiwa Spika, mhasibu mkuu amefanya kazi yake kulingana na mimi, kazi yake vizuri, ingawaje kuna wahasibu hapa na pale ambao wako na mapungufu, lakini kijumla ofisi ya mhasibu mkuu ama auditor general wamefanya kazi nzuri na wameangalia mahali pesa zimepotea. Kila wakati wanatoa report. Kwa mfano tuliona kwamba bilioni 11 zimepotea kwa ile SHA na taasisi zingine, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo kama kuna kitu hii nyumba ambayo inafanya uangalizi ama oversight tunaweza kusaidia mhasibu, ni kuangalia kwamba tusiweke chochote ambacho kitapunguza nguvu za mhasibu, ambacho kitajaribu kuchakachua ile kazi ambayo inafanywa na mhasibu mkuu mkuu wa Kenya. Kwa hivyo mimi moja kwa moja, Mheshimiwa Spika, langu ni kwamba wakati sisi tunafanya uangalizi, zile taasisi zingine ambazo tunategemea ili kufanya oversight yetu ama uangalizi, ambayo ni huyu mhasibu mkuu, kuna EACC, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna DCI na kadhalika, tujaribu kuangalia zile sheria ambazo zinapitishwa zisipunguze makali, zisipunguze nguvu za hizi maofisi. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi naunga mkono kupigwa msasa kwa hii sheria, lakini tuangalie ya kwamba kama tutaangalia vile vipengee ambavyo vinafaa kurekebishwa, kwa mfano kuondoa mkuu wa sheria katika bodi hii ya advisory board ya audit ama ya auditor general, basi tuitoe na hii sheria itakuwa nzuri ya kufanyia kazi ya uhasibu wananchi wa Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, yangu hayatakuwa mengi. Tufanyie marekebisho hii sheria ili Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu ni sheria ambayo ni ya kina sana, ni ya muhimu sana katika kufanya kazi ya uangalizi ama oversight. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa huo muda, nashukuru.
Thank you, Senator Maruma. The chair was tempted in the course of your contribution to remind you as a seasoned member of the House the provisions of Standing Order number 92. And maybe for the benefit of those who are here, you probably ought to give in Swahili what gaps mean. That is what you said, directorate, as well as a conflict of interest. I picked those three in the course of your contribution, which you were doing in Swahili. And of course, as a member, you know, the chair exercises discretion to permit you to continue. Otherwise, you are required to entirely run your contribution in the language that you chose when you started your contribution. Before I allow the next member to contribute, I have communication to make. This is a communication on visiting delegation from the Kenyatta University Youth Alliance of Kenya. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, visiting delegation from the Kenyatta University Youth Alliance of Kenya. The delegation comprises 15 student leaders and 10 members drawn from different county chapters who are visiting the Senate for an academic tour. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and wish them a fruitful learning. I thank you and welcome to the Senate. As is the custom of this House, I will give the next person to speak, and as you speak, Senator Murango, you are next, Senator Onyonka. I've seen your hand up. The person allowed to contribute is Senator Murango, and before you make your contribution, in under 1 minute, take a moment to welcome the visiting delegation from the Kenyatta University Youth Alliance of Kenya.
Asante sana Mr. Speaker. Nataka kuwakaribisha wanafunzi wa kutoka muungano wa chuo kikuu, na nitaongea kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu pia unajua mimi ni mkereketo wa Kiswahili. Na niseme kwamba katika hii nyumba ya Seneti tunafanya mambo mengi, na hakuna jambo ambalo linamzuia nyinyi kuwa hapa wakati wenu utakapofika. Kwa hivyo masomo ni mazuri, na nitasikia leo, nadhani itakuwa ya manufaa kwa watu wote wa Kenya. Asante sana Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ukiona mti mara mbili msituni ujue umepotea. Na Mr. Speaker, mti ya chui zizini haishiwi na kilio. Katika marekebisho ambayo tunafanya kuondoa nguvu ya mkaguzi mkuu wa hesabu wa serikali, itakuwa na madhara mengi sana, kwa sababu sijaona ni upungufu gani ambao unapelekea kuja kufanya marekebisho kwa sheria. Ya kwanza, mwanasheria mkuu anapata fedha zake kutoka pochi mfuko wa serikali. Kwa hivyo katika kuchunguzwa na kuangalia kuhakikisha kwamba ametumia fedha za umma vizuri, anafanywa na mkaguzi mkuu wa hesabu wa serikali. Sasa kumweka pia katika ile bodi, Mr. Speaker, ni sawasawa tu na kuweka mbungo katika bodi ambayo itakuwa inapeana ushauri kwa wale wanaangalia na kutibu ugonjwa wa malale. Kwa hivyo Mr. Speaker, mimi sitasema tufanye marekebisho. Ningesema ya kwamba yule mkaguzi mkuu wa hesabu Nancy Gathungu amefanya kazi nzuri sana, na kwa sababu hatujaona upungufu, kwa nini tutunge hii sheria ya kuja kuweka vikwazo venye mhasibu mkuu anafanya kazi? Na kwa hivyo mimi ningesema tunapofanya hii sheria tuondoe kabisa kuwa na board, kwa sababu sioni maana ya board. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, mwanasheria mkuu na ofisi yake ni ofisi kubwa sana nchini, na ukiangalia mkaguzi mkuu wa hesabu ya serikali inakaa kama ni ofisi ndogo. Mr. Speaker, unajua chuma cha Suezi haiwezi kushindana na sukuo. Kwa hivyo ukiweka mwanasheria mkuu kukaa ofisi moja na mkaguzi mkuu wa hesabu, kwa sababu mwanasheria mkuu anatakuwa ndio anakaa kwa ile board ambayo inapeana ushauri, na shindwa itakuwa ni vipi wakati atapatikana kwamba ametumia vibaya fedha za umma, na ndio mshauri mkuu ambaye anafaa kupeana ushauri katika kupatia mkaguzi mkuu wa hesabu ushauri. Itakuwa tu ni njia moja kwamba kabla sija kupatia ushauri, ondoa jina langu katika ratiba na majedwali ya wale wamefunja pesa za umma. Kwa hivyo Mr. Speaker, mimi hiyo pia napinga. Na nikimalizia Mr. Speaker, lazima kama nchi tuache hii tabia ya kuweka bodi kwa kila kitu. Farasi ya kifa tunaleta bodi imoja ichunguze kama anaweza fufuka. Bodi ya pili ione kama farasi anaweza zikwa. Hizi bodi nyingi ambazo zinatengenezwa kupitia sheria zinanyonya fedha kidogo ambayo nchi iko nayo. Na kwa hivyo kama tuko na mama moja ama wawili kama tulie naye katika kama Nancy, kwa nini tusiache afanye kazi yake bila kuingiliwa na kuwekewa mabodi mingi ambayo ina maana? Na hizi bodi Mr. Speaker, ukiangalia sana mwishowe zinakuwa hizi bond ni za kupatia, zinazawadiwa wale watu ambao wameanguka na wameshindwa na kufanya siasa. Kwa hivyo mimi nikiulizwa Mr. Speaker, ningesema zile bodi zifutiliwe mbali. Hata ningeulizwa ni nafasi kwingine nikuje na order ya taasisi na bodi zingine ambazo zinafaa kuvunjwa. Ukiangalia zile bodi tuko nazo Mr. Speaker ni nyingi sana. Zingine unasikia mwenyekiti wa bodi kwa matanga na mashishi unakutana ni wengi kushinda wale wanaomboleza. Hawa watu ndio wanaenda hata kwenda kufunja pesa zetu zaidi. Na ndio nasema hizi bodi ni sawa ni sawia na wale watengeneza jeneza ambao wanaenda kulia sana matangani na wanakuanga biashara za kuuza jeneza. Asante sana Mr. Speaker.
Thank you Senator Murango. Senator Onyonga Richard.
Ndugu Speaker, hata mimi ningependa kutoa heshima zangu kwa ndugu zangu ambao wamezungumza kwa lugha ya taifa ambayo kila wakati, ndugu Speaker, ingekuwa vizuri pengine siku zingine tupate nafsi kuzungumza kwa hili jumba ili tuzungumzie haya maneno. Jambo la kwanza, ningependa kuunga ndugu zangu ambao wametoa ubishi kwa hii sheria ambao inataka kubadilishwa. Mimi kama mmoja wao wa kamati ya hela na fedha nchi yetu, Finance Committee, tulimuita mama Nancy tukamuuliza, fikira zako wewe kama kiongozi ambaye anakagua matumizi ya fedha za kiserikali na vile tunaendesha nchi yetu, unaonaje kama tungetafuta kamati ambayo ingekuja iketi ili ukishatoa audit report yako ndio watakuwa wanakupa mawaidha kukuambia huwezi kulifanya hivi na utaweze kulifanya hivi. Kwa hivyo ningependa ndugu Speaker kusema kwanza, ukienda kipengee 12 cha pili nasema kuwa lazima Auditor General atafute mawaidha kutoka kwa Audit Advisory Board. Yaani ile kazi ambayo Auditor General anafanya sasa, chumba hiki cha Senate haja yetu ni kupanga vile tulete maofisa wengine ili mhasibu wa hela za kiserikali akishamaliza kufanya audit yake, hao ndio watakuwa wanamwambia nini? Watakuwa wanamwambia ukishapata mtu ameiba hela za serikali, huyo acha yeye kwa sababu huyo ni mtu mkubwa, huyo ni jamaa ambaye anasaidia serikali.
Kwa hivyo wachana na hayo. Jambo la pili, wanasema kutakuwa na senior deputy auditor, yani naibu, ule auditor ambaye, ndugu Spika, wakati huu ana naibu wawili haswa, na hamna mtu ambaye ametoa kelele kuwa hawafanyi kazi. Hakuna mtu ambaye ameleta hata kesi kusema haki zangu zimedhulumika. Sababu ya kuleta hii nafasi ati kuna mtu ambaye atakuwa naibu ya yule mama ni kwa sababu wanatafuta mchungaji, yule atakaanachunga. Ule mama akienda likizo, huyo ndio wanamleta, ndio anapiga zile deal zao, wanapiga huko ndani. Tunajua vile wanaiba hela za Kenya. Ndio sababu wanataka kuleta deputy. Na hamna mtu ameenda kotini akaleta ubishi. Kuna sababu ya huyu mama ambaye anasimamia na anafanya kazi ambayo ni ya kushtua. Kama angekuwa mwanaume, najua pengine angekuwa amenejificha kwa vyo. Sasa tunataka kumletea, kwa kizungu tunasema gatekeeper, yule mtu ambaye atakuwa na mchunga. Ndio sababu ya hii kipengee kuletwa. Ukienda 13.1, Senior Deputy Auditor General shall be the principal assistant to the Auditor General. Nani alisema yule ambaye anafanya kazi na huyu mama wakati huu wana shida naye? So kwa sababu gani unaleta mtu mwingine ambaye atakuwa na mchunga huyu mama ambaye amekuwa akifanya kazi nzuri? Jambo lingine wameleta kuwa shall be, by deleting paragraph A, ukiondoa A alafu uilete hii paragraph unataka kuleta, ndio nasema ati kuna huyu jamaa ambaye sasa tunamweka ndiye atakuwa naibu wa Auditor General, ambako kazi yake ni kufanya kazi kikatiba. Kazi gani hiyo anaenda kufanya kikatiba? Kwa sababu Auditor General, PFM Act inasema fanya audit kila mwaka, tumepewa masharti ya kufata, na hiyo audit inakuja inawekwa kwa hili jumba hapa. Ni sababu gani tunataka kuintroduce mtu ambaye atakuwa deputy wa huyo mama ambaye tunaye vile na vijua Kenya yetu, hii nchi yetu nzuri tunaiyependa? Sababu ya kuleta hivi vipengee vyote ni kutoa yale madaraka ya kikatiba ambayo inafanya huyu mama anafanya kazi yake kwa kiheshima na kwa kisheria. Mpige kelele, msipige kelele. Kama itakuwa 1 term ama 2 term, mkiiba atawaambia mmeiba. So hivyo ningependa kusema hivi vipengee zote zimeletwa hapa kwa ukora na ukorofi. Tuachilie huyo mama aendelee kufanya kazi yake, kwa sababu sheria imehudumu na hii sheria yetu ndio tunajaribu kupigania. Asante ndugu Speaker.
Senator Onyonga, thank you for your contribution. I am not seeing Senator Kajwang in the House. He ought to be the next, and now in the absence of Senator Kajwang, as well as the mover of this motion, the leader of majority, I will defer reply on this motion to the next sitting. So reply by the mover is hereby deferred to the next sitting of the House. And with that, I call upon good. I'm just confirming from the order paper of today, order number 11, order number 12, order number 13, and 14, as well as order 15, are subjects of committee of the whole, and therefore we cannot proceed because there is no chair around, and therefore I defer those order number 11 to 15 to the next sitting. Order number 16 is also deferred because the chair of JLAC is now yours truly chairing the Senate. He ought to have been the one moving that motion. That is also hereby deferred. Order number 17, order 18, order 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and order number 26 are equally deferred because the movers are not present in the chamber. May the House rise now. Now, honorable senators, on conclusion of the business of the House, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until Tuesday, 17th of March, 2026 at 2:30 p.m.